Answer viewer questions about COVID-19. Dr. Lauren Streicher is back with us. Thanks for being here again.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's get right to the questions. A few days ago, you said the COVID tests weren't very accurate. Are the new, faster tests more accurate?
Well, the brief answer is yes, but let me back up a little bit because there is some new testing out and it's important for everyone to understand what the options are. The typical tests that have been done have gone to Quest laboratories. That's what I was talking about a few days ago. That has a 60% sensitivity rate, which means a lot of people with negatives actually are positive. But the two new tests that are going to become available this week in the Chicagoland area are, first of all, the Roche test. This is a 45-minute test, which is done in the hospital. You need a technician. It has to go to the laboratory. And the thing about this test is they say 45 minutes. It's really longer because that's the amount of time to run the test, but it's got to get there. There might be a lineup of other tests. But the good news with the Roche test is that they can do multiple tests at once. And it does seem to be more accurate, even though they're not giving a number. The test that everyone's hearing about is the Abbott test. This is the 5-minute point of service test, meaning the person who does the swab can actually immediately do a test. But a couple things with this. First of all, they say 5 minutes. It's really more like 15 minutes for most of these tests. But the biggest roadblock is you can only run one at a time. So for every machine, you're looking at 4 tests an hour. So the sad truth is right now in Illinois, testing is still challenging. We don't have the ability to test everyone despite the briefings that we're hearing from the White House. And this is something that hopefully will continue to improve. There are new tests coming out, but it is a challenge.
How safe are N95 masks? Is it still possible to contract the virus even while wearing a mask?
Well, the phrase N95 comes from it blocks 95% of germs, but that's assuming that the mask fits properly, which is something that medical professionals are trained to do, and assuming that it is changed from patient to patient as it was intended. But of course, that's not what's going on right now. So it isn't 100%, but it is about as close as we can get to it. But the big news, of course, is that there's some fake N95s floating around Illinois. Evidently, there were some shipments that came into the Chicagoland area in the last few days that are fakes. However, hospitals have the ability to test these N95s before they're used to assure that they are the real deal. If there's anyone out there in the community, you shouldn't have these N95s anyway. They should be reserved for healthcare workers. It is a life and death situation, not only for the healthcare workers, but for the people that they're treating. But just know, if you're picking up N95 someplace, they're very likely not real.
All right. My daughter is a nurse working in the COVID unit. I'm so proud of her, but terrified for her, and also concerned that when she goes home at night, she will infect her family. Any advice?
This was actually a big problem in Italy. What they found is that a lot of healthcare workers were going home and were infecting their community and their family because, of course, they were in close quarters and there was really no choice. Well, Governor Pritzker is all over this, and basically he set up a task force to set up respite housing for healthcare workers who don't have a home they can go to that they can be clear of infecting other people. And there's a group that has been put together to look at hotels, apartment units, and all of that for medical workers to go to. But as far as your daughter, a couple of things. Number one, when she goes to work, hopefully she will have all of her appropriate protective gear. Number two, be sure that she covers her hair. It's interesting when you look at a lot of these photos that are coming out of healthcare workers, they've got their hair exposed. So they need to cover their hair, and the shoes are important because you want your healthcare workers to be wearing shoes that can either be alcoholed off or it can be rinsed off. Crocs, actually, which is the ideal shoe because it can be hosed down and alcohol, is giving away free shoes to medical workers if you go to their website. When she comes home, she should immediately take off her shoes and socks at the door. And before she greets the kids and says hello to the family and does anything, it's take off the clothes, get right into the shower, wash her hair, and then, of course, those clothes go into the washer at a high heat. And thank you to your daughter.
All right. One more question. I am completely out of alcohol wipes. What are acceptable alternatives for cleaning surfaces?
Who's not out of alcohol wipes? I mean, we're alcoholing everything. But yes, you do have some alternatives. Number one, 70% isopropyl alcohol, good old rubbing alcohol, but it does need to sit on the surface for 30 seconds. 3% hydrogen peroxide also works, but it has to sit on that surface for about 3 minutes. Bleach. good old bleach, but that's got to sit there for 30 minutes on the surface. And no, vinegar is not going to do it, and vodka is not going to do it. The vodka is, for you, but it's not to help clean off the surfaces.
But rubbing alcohol is impossible to find too, just like hand sanitizer.
You know what though? You're absolutely right. But I started cleaning out cabinets. It's one of the many things I've done to keep me occupied, and I found some at home. So you're not going to find it, but you'd be surprised what you'll find in nooks and crannies of your house as you get that 3 a.m. I got to clean out the closet thing.
All right, thanks, Dr. Streicher. If you have any more questions for her, you can head to drstreicher.com. Thanks a bunch. Hey, Paul.